so I stopped being lazy. Yeah, and I became creative. And I learned how to create it. And now that pride's for me. So come see, oh come eat.
Welcome to the Silver Lining Podcast. I'm your host, Sterlington, and today we have an honored guest in. This is a friend of mine and a friend of the show by de facto, fellow Falcons sufferer, Cam. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today, Cam. How you doing?
It's a pleasure, man. Thanks for having me.
Hey, man, the pleasure's all mine, brother. Cam's going to join me today. We're going to talk about Falcons at Eagles this Monday. It's going to be a primetime game on 8:30 on ESPN. Really looking forward to it. How about you, Cam?
I am. Based off last week, and I actually said I wasn't going to watch the game. I was in a real bad mood, and I had us losing that game too. Had us losing, but just based off how we lost, it still put me in a real bad mood. So I wasn't even going to watch it. But now the week has progressed. I'm ready. I'm ready to see what this offense can do. I'm ready to see what the defense can do, like with playing against a step up in the quarterback level. I think Jalen Hurts is a little bit better than Justin Fields. Eagles have more talent on the offensive side of the ball as well, so I'm really looking to see how the defense reacts. I know AJ Terrell got torched a little bit, so we'll see how he comes back from that. And then really the offensive side of the ball, how all of us feel about that. We have suffered on the offensive side of the ball since 2016, if we're being honest. Even the 2018 year, when we made the divisional round and lost to the Eagles, the year they made the Super Bowl, offense still suffered. So we have had a few years, going on almost 10 years of bad offense. So at this point, I'm ready to see Zach Robinson correct some mistakes from week one, and I'm ready to see us really test Kirk's Achilles. I'm not saying have him move around, but let's do some play action. Let's have him under center. I'm not saying he has to do some rollouts, but he has to be a little bit mobile. Unlike the touchdown, the one silver lining from week one was that one touchdown he threw to Pitts. He had to move a little bit for that. I like that. So
speaking of which, what else are your thoughts about the Steelers and Falcons game? The fans are not going to get to hear what you said, your opinion on that. They already know mine, so they ain't going to hear about that from me. But just a brief review of everything you saw in that game that you're concerned about going into the next, everything positive you saw from that game.
Okay, so like I said before, I had us actually losing week one. I actually have us starting the year off like 1-5. I know some Falcons fans ain't gonna want to hear that, but our schedule was kind of hard at the beginning. But I have us finishing strong. Coincidentally, I feel like Kirk will get his feet back under him. He'll be a little bit more healed. So we'll see how that goes. But week one, I had us losing this game, and even the way we lost it still found a way to piss me off. Just because I knew TJ Watt would be a problem. In my opinion, he's the best defensive football player in the league now that Aaron Donald has retired. Just like we didn't really have a game plan for him. We realized that we spent the entirety of the game in pistol or shotgun. I'm like, what the fuck? Is this really what we're doing on offense? And initially, like that, now that I see that, it has me speculating. It has me thinking, is Kirk healthy? Is this the reason we didn't see Michael Penix more in the preseason? Because Penix is healthy, and he can get under center, and he can do play action, he can roll, he can do all these things, and he has a good arm. So it's because maybe he's also outshining Cousins in practice. So that made me think, is Cousins not really healthy? But then as the week progressed, we hear Cousins say, even on the Rich Eisen, he said he's 100% healthy. So if he says he's healthy, if Morris says he's healthy in my opinion. That's 100%. That being said, I got to put a little bit more of the blame on Zach Robinson then. Was that our best scheme we could come up with for the Steelers? That's it? We had that offense had no creativity to it. It was hand the ball to Bijan, a little bit to Algier, and hopefully we can get a little bit of time to pass the ball to somebody. But even then, TJ Watt was disrupting everything. So like, we had no plan for him either. So defense, loved what I saw from defense. Great, Jarrett showed that he's still him. Like he's a pillar on our defense, and I'm glad that we have him back. I'm glad that he's starting because he did tear his ACL like midway through the season. It's good to see Judon playing well. Is playing well. Seeing Anyamata doing well. So I feel like on defense we have the pieces that we can compete with anybody. It's just what can this offense do?
All right, awesome. So we play the Eagles in Philadelphia this upcoming Monday. I watched the game live. I watched it. It was in what was it was in Sao Paulo? It was on
I
Friday.
think it was a South It was a
Yeah,
good
it was on Friday, Sao Paulo. Yeah. So I watched the game. Boy, it's funny how you feel about the game going into the game, and then when your team plays, it's like I don't know if I feel as good as I felt before.
game.
When I watched that game, what I did see was that Philly looks physical in both trenches. They look good on the D line, look good on the O line. Now one of the things I did see, because obviously with the performance we gave on offense, I definitely have some concerns going into the next game about how we're going to perform against Philly's defense. Especially because while I don't think their defense is as good as Pittsburgh's, I think obviously their offense is miles better. And I think that could put us in a position of maybe getting behind early in the game and then having to throw the ball. And we just already had an issue where we felt like maybe we threw the ball too much. We threw the ball and made it obvious to the Steelers that we were throwing the ball. I quoted on the last episode that we had out of shotgun, we threw the ball 100% of the time, and out of pistol, we threw the ball about 81% of the time. I also noted that on the broadcast of the game, Greg Olsen pointed out that the Steelers were keying off on Drew Dahlman's head when he was snapping the ball. So he'd look between his legs, and then when he'd look up, he'd snap the ball shortly after. They started timing that up. Which I felt like, I can't excuse altogether Caleb McGarry's performance, but let's not act like you said, like TJ Watt isn't the best defensive player in the league. You had him already kind of getting an idea of when the snap was coming. And you made situations where you had to pass extremely obvious to the other team. So you hung Caleb McGarry out to dry. I didn't feel like the formations we called or the plays that we called prioritized blocking TJ Watt. I don't feel like anything we did said, hey, before we focus on what receivers we put out in routes, before we focus on what step drop we have, what play call we want to execute, all of that, the first thing we need to do is make sure number 90 is blocked. I don't feel like any of those plays prioritized first and foremost getting TJ Watt blocked. And I think it definitely showed up in the second half. Usually, if you have a first half where you had some bright spots, and we did have some bright spots in the first half, and then the second half comes and you don't score any points, you only have one drive that really gets into their territory, and you don't even, it wasn't even just about the turnovers in like the red zone. We just had a hard time moving the ball, period. That tells me that the offensive coordinator got outmatched. We saw a lot of that. I think we can point to a lot of situations over the last 10 years where we saw the team come out in the first half, look really good. Then in the second half, not so much. Honestly, we can go back more than 10 years. I definitely can point to that 2010 season was crazy. I think the Falcons had the number 1 seed, went 13-3, but they were winning a bunch of games by the skin of their teeth because they'll jump out on teams early, then let teams back in the game. And then, we got to have Matt Ryan in the game pull us out of the fire when we was messing, when we were about to blow the game. The same thing happened in 2012. thought we shook it in 2016. We're not going to talk about that because this podcast will definitely be 90 minutes if we go into that last game. But then, yeah, we just see a bunch of that happening in a lot of games. And so the thing that I'm looking at with the Eagles, when I watched them play against the Packers, I saw that, they were, if they knew it was a run play, they were extremely stout. But if you made it not so obvious that there was a run play, they were very not disciplined in their lanes. And that allowed them to actually give us some pretty big yards to number 31 for the Packers. I don't remember him. He's the backup running back. Josh Jacobs ate on certain plays where they maybe they passed it in a situation where they ran it in a situation where you might normally throw it, or if they ran it as a draw play, then they could get some. Jaden Reed, I think number 11 for the Packers, he had a long touchdown run as well. So there's some room to move the ball on them on the ground. But I am concerned about pass protection and moving the ball on them through the air. Now, what is your concern about going up against that Philly defense? Like, what are the things that concern you the most going into this game?
When it comes to running the ball, our offensive line is top 5. We can run the ball on almost any team. The problem is pass protection. McGarry he's serviceable, but when he gets exposed. So I don't know who's on the edge, who's on McGarry's side, who will be on the edge come Monday. But if they're
it's gonna probably be Bryce Huff or Josh Sweat, and both of those guys are pretty good.
Yeah, they're Josh Sweat, Pro Bowler. So he's not quite T.J. Watt, but he's a Pro Bowler. So there's a good chance he'll get a sack. There's a good chance he'll get a sack on Monday. We're gonna have to put some help on him. Kyle Pitts is gonna have to do a much better job with help blocking, or whatever tight end we have out there, or running back we have out there that's chipping away on the edge. We're gonna have to do a much better job with that. We're gonna have to do a better job of Kurt's gonna have to do a better job getting the ball to our weapons. I don't know if our receivers are too slow or losing Rondell Moore sucks, but we need somebody who can get open relatively quick, because the pass rush is ridiculous and Kirk doesn't have much time. He already took a step back in mobility, and he had no mobility. He has negative mobility. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do about that? How is Zach Robinson gonna scheme for that? That's my big question. That's what I'm saying. I have us losing the game. But if we can come out and score 3 offensive touchdowns, 3 solid drives, I'll feel more confident going into week 3. Okay, at least we can move the ball, because we couldn't move the ball at all against the Steelers, and their defense is good, but it ain't great. They had some people who are hurt. Don't get me wrong, T.J. Watt is him, but we should have been able to finish some drives. If we can't finish any drives against the Eagles, if we have a repeat performance for week 1. I might not watch week 3, just because I can't. It's getting hard, man. It's hard. You and I are both diehard fans. It gets hard to watch offenses like this, man. It was like watching Desmond Ritter out there, and we know what that was like. And I know Kirk is better than that, but I'm not gonna put that on. I'm gonna say a lot of that's rust, and I'm gonna go into week 2. Clean slate. We're going to see what Zach can do. We're going to see what Kirk can do.
Now that you pointed out, that is that Desmond Ritter stat line: 155 passing yards, a touchdown, 2 picks. That's good old Ritter right there. Only difference is that the picks were in the red zone.
I think we had 2 fumbles, recovered 1, lost 1. We almost had 5 or 6 turnovers that game.
No, both of those sacks that got called back by Wyatt on penalties were turnovers.
Thank you. Thank you.
That was
that game could have been a whole lot
more, especially because that first one, that was real close that y'all called TJ Watt offsides. Now, I mean, That's one of those plays where the result determined how I felt about it in terms of like if that was a Falcon player who did that, if he was called offsides and didn't get any pressure, I wouldn't have felt any problem with it. But the fact that he got back there and got the ball, I'd have been like, oh, y'all boys kind of cheated. And that was another disappointing thing about the offense too, was that it wasn't like the referees were helping the Steelers win. It kind of seemed like the referees were getting in the Steelers' way a couple times, and we still went out there and did the offense. Did you have any other thoughts about the our offense going against their defense?
The Eagles secondary doesn't scare me. CD Deuce is good, but I think he's more bark than bite. Who are the corners again? Darius Slay.
Quinyon Mitchell. I know that's a first rounder.
Darius Slay.
I want to say Slay is still with him. Yeah, I think it's Slay and Darius Slay and Quinyon Mitchell.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure Chauncey CJ GJ is back to being an Eagle.
Okay. Well, yeah, like Darius Slay, he's good.
Obviously, he's more of a safety.
Like, thing is, he is very good, but I think his experience at this point carries him more than his athleticism. I think Drake can have a good game against him. Their secondary doesn't scare me. It's their trenches. It's their line, man. They could outclass us there again.
Yeah, I noticed they did a lot of blitzing as well. They did more blitzing than I would expect from a team with the front that they have. But they did definitely still send some additional pressure on a few plays. Another thing I saw too was that they played tighter coverage over the middle of the field. So Jordan Love threw a pick on a play where it was clear they were sitting on the route, but they did play aggressively, and so there's room to take some advantage of them. The problem that I'm just having is I don't know if Zach Robinson's going to call the kind of game that's going to exploit that kind of thing. Because they do still have a pass rush. We know that Caleb McGarry, but according to PFF, honestly, almost everybody gave up quite a few bit of pressures. Hold on just a second. Sorry, got a phone call. Let me just go ahead and put that down.
Yeah.
There we go. So yeah, the what was I saying? The pass rush?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jake Matthews, I think, gave up 4 pressures. Matthew Bergeron and Drew Bowman gave up 3 and 4 pressures respectively. So guys were getting pressure on all parts of the line, but I don't count the pressures as much because pressures, anything could be counted pressure. You might get a pressure while you still being blocked because the quarterback walked a little close to you, whatever. But it's the one parts where guys getting beat cleanly, and then they're doing it repeatedly, so the quarterback can't operate in the pocket. I saw that as more of an issue. So let's go ahead and flip the field and talk about the other side of the ball. Now they did put up a pretty earnest 32 points. And they honestly was it 32? They won, was it 32-26? It was something like that, but they scored a real 30 points. Saquon Barkley looked real good. O-line looked real good. Hold on just a second. O-line looked good, receivers look good. Honestly, the only real weakness I saw on their offense was that maybe Jalen Hurts was rusty. But the picks he had were kind of unacceptable. I saw the picks he had, and I'm like, what the hell is this man doing? Like the one he had in the red zone, taking points off the board. Like they close. They got 3 in the bag. That's how close they were. And then he runs to his right and throws across his body to the left, and Jair Alexander picked it right on off. And the first one he threw, I think a safety picked it up. I can't remember the safety's name. I think it begins with M. Safety for the Packers picked it off. And I'm like, What was Jalen doing? Like that guy got like 3 jerseys around. So they're gonna throw the ball way more than Pittsburgh threw the ball. Um, but I do see Jalen is gonna take some chances that might not be necessary. What did you see from that game? That and give your analysis of how you think that's going to affect us going into the next game.
Jalen Hurts made a couple really bad interceptions, but he's surrounded by a bunch of talent, and he's a winner. And when you're a winner and you know how to win, you can get past mistakes and pull off a win. And that's what they did. They won as a team. Saquon Barkley played very well. Their offensive line is very good, even though they lost Jason Kelsey. Their receiving core is one of the best in the league too. The thing about, I think our defense is a little bit more depth than Green Bay's. I think we got a couple more skill positions, a couple more players than they do. A couple more that we signed in free agency. I think we got a real good chance of. I think our defense has taken a big step forward, and we're gonna have to get some pressure on him. And if we can get some pressure on him, we can make him turn the ball over. That's the only way I can see us pulling off a win and feeling that like that we're back as a team. Is if we pull off this road win, I would be shocked. Like I have us losing this game, but if we can pull it off, it's going to be because of our defense. Our defense got a couple interceptions, or they forced some fumbles, or we forced some 3-and-outs. It's going to essentially take us playing how it's going to take us playing how the Steelers beat us in Week 1. It's going to take that.
So the next thing I want to talk about is a second. Next thing I want to talk about is give us 3 keys to victory for the Falcons.
3 keys, okay. Pressure on Jalen Hurts. Find a way to disrupt his rhythm. That to me, that's number 1. Number 2, pass protection. We gotta be able to pass protect. And number 3, we gotta establish the run. We gotta I think pass protection is going to be dictated based on being able to run. Like we got to be able to run and run convincingly. Like Bijan and Alger are going to have good games. But at the same time, like Alger, McGarry's going to have to step it up. Like he's gonna have another big task this week, but he's going to have to step it up. He's going to have to forget about last week. We on to the next one. He's going to have a good game. Chris Lindstrom, actually everybody. No one really had a good game on the O-line, so they all have to step it up. Kirk will need time. He is 35, 36, coming off an Achilles. He said he's 100%. I personally don't believe his ass, but that's what he's saying. So, O-line got to step it up. Defense is going to have a great game. Then we're going to establish the run. What about you, man? What you think?
All right. So for me, I think one of the first keys, and I'm not ranking mine. They're just going to be all over the place. But I think it's going to be a limit explosive plays. They made a lot of plays down the field. And then when I say limit explosive plays, I don't just mean stop them from getting deep and stopping anything like that, right? Because they did have some big plays down the field to Devontae and to A.J. Brown. And they had a pretty big touchdown to Saquon Barkley in the red zone. But the other thing, too, that I saw closer to the end of the game that looked like a real problem that really hampered Green Bay's ability to go on the game-winning drive was tackling. There was a play where Jalen Hurts escaped the pocket, his 3rd down. He's met with contact at least 3 yards before the 1st down, powers through and gets the 1st down. Then there's another play. They pass it to, I want to say Devontae Smith. And Devontae Smith is little. He's a beanpole. He's sub 200-pound guy. Devontae Smith broke a couple of tackles on the 3rd down pass, and he also got a 1st down. And that just kept bleeding the clock at the end. And then Philly had the 3rd down on the goal line, and they fumbled the snap. Which, by the way, that's another thing I wanted to bring up. Well, I guess we'll get to that. But Jalen Hurts fumbled the snap, and Saquon recovered, and then they ended up kicking a field goal instead of getting a touchdown. But they burned off almost all of the time on the clock on that final drive. And it wasn't because they had a bunch of third and short situations. It was because they had 30 medium situations, and they were able to break tackles and get first down. So limiting big plays for the Eagles. That's number one. Another one for me is going to be having a much more diverse game plan. Obviously, I didn't get to see all 22. I don't know about what the route combinations look like and what Kirk's seeing out there. But the fact that as a viewer at home, I can see, oh, okay, this is going to be a pass. Oh, it's probably going to be a pass. And or when it's a run, it's not really a creative run, and the defense can just key off on that. I think that is playing with your hands tied behind your back, especially because I don't feel like having a game plan like that wasn't as diverse protects your O line. All right. I don't feel like you're putting your O line in position to succeed. Now the Falcons do have a good O line, but it's a good O line in context of a balanced offense. Some people that got O lines that they can drop back 40 times a game and they're great. Some people gonna have O lines that's gonna mash everybody, and they're gonna get a bunch of rushing yards, and that's that. But the Falcons, they definitely need to have a little more balance for their versatility as an O line to show up. I also think that that's going to be able to free up some shots down the field. I don't feel like we were able to get shots down the field because the play calling was so predictable that there was just no time for a real deep shot down the field. I think the only real deep passes or any pass over 15 yards went to Ray McLeod, I think. So that's probably my second key. And the last one is going to be winning the turnover battle. Jalen Hurts showed a couple of opportunities that he threw up. And if he gives us those same opportunities, we got to be able to capitalize on them. The Eagles had 3 turnovers last week and still win the game. I think they lost the turnover battle 3-1 and still won the game. But we lost our turnover battles 3-0. This is going to be the second team in a row that'll probably have some center quarterback exchange issues. Still Justin Fields fumbled 2 snaps. We didn't recover any of them. In this game, there was a bad shotgun snap that was recovered by the Packers, and then the aforementioned play by them on the goal line about to do the tush push, as people call it, and they recovered that one. But it's a new center, young center. We got some dogs in the middle that might make him give some bad snaps because he's going to be worried about getting to his assignment. And I just think that that's going to be a huge key, because I do think Philly they're going to give us some problems in the pass game if we don't get pressure. AJ Terrell typically struggles a little with bigger receivers. And we don't really know what we got going with Mike Hughes. And Philly going to find out for both of us. So I think, and with Saquon, Troy Anderson's coverage on Saquon is going to be huge, because it's going to have to be like Troy. Because if Nate Lamb and Caden Ellis get caught on Saquon, that's going to be a problem. So I think the biggest keys are going to be limited in explosive plays and good tackling for the Falcons on defense. Getting some turnovers, winning the overall turnover battle, not just getting turnovers, but also not having turnovers on our side, and then also a more diverse game plan. All right, Cam, can you give us your final score predictions for the Monday nighter with the Falcons and the Eagles?
Okay, now, as much as I love my Birds, I do not have us winning this game. I think this is a bounce back game for our offense. I think they can at least come up with 3 touchdowns. And then our defense can make it a turnover. We can maybe score 1 more. I say it's a 34-28 game, maybe 34-31 game to the Eagles. If we can score that many points, I will feel so much confident going into the Kansas City and then for the rest of the year. And we can rattle off some wins. We can get this offense flowing.
All right. Well, for me, I'm gonna repeat this every time I do this. I'm not big on score predictions. It's not really my thing, but hey, man, that's the thing that you do. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to guess the score. Um, and maybe this is because I'm a jaded Falcons fan, but unfortunately, I don't feel like we're gonna come out of this game feeling a lot more confident. I'm not saying that means that the year is done. I just don't think that this will be what we call a get right game. I do think that the defense is going to bow its back some. I just think that the ineffectiveness of the offense is going to put a little too much of the burden on the defense. I think they're going to have some times where they're going to be able to run the ball against us. And I'm saying this based off of the Steelers. There was some plays where I definitely felt like they got that surge they needed to get some running. And I think with Philly's diversity, they're going to be able to do a little bit better on the run game. And I think we're gonna struggle again on offense. I feel comfortable feeling like we do better if one, we were at home. Two, the issue was more about execution than play calling. I think if it just looked like, all right, guys were playing uncharacteristically bad, we'd say, all right, maybe that's just some rust from not playing in the preseason. But we got the right guy calling the plays, and we got the right guy calling plays when we just didn't execute. And if they play again and get some more time together, they're gonna look better in this game. So my prediction is 27 13 for the Eagles. I do think we'll score. Honestly, like I said, they're not as good as the Steelers. I could definitely I think I'm maybe being a little too harsh on their offense. Maybe they could score 20. But I do think Philly will at least, whether they are, whether they aren't, they're gonna look like a superior team at the end of this game. And that's unfortunate. I love to root for them. I definitely before the season. I felt like some of the struggles Philly had at the end of last year were very real. But I think that game in Brazil put most of that to rest. Even having 3 turnovers, they still put up over 30 points. So I think we'll be able to hold them less points, but I just don't see a victory this week. And we'll see if we have reasons for optimism going forward. But unfortunately, that's what I gotta go with right now, based off what I've seen.
I'm in the same boat, brother. Like, I want to be optimistic, but you got to show me something so I can be optimistic. And right now, the offense has not shown me anything. The defense has. But the offense leaves much to be desired. Luckily, this is week 2, not week 10. So I'm also thankful that we got the gauntlet of our schedule on the front half. Like, I really think we're gonna run the table on the back half. Like, I really think on the back half of that schedule, it's a little bit more easy, where we can really rattle off some wins. But this front half, and I have to start off 1-5, and we can be like 3-3 or 2-3 at this point. That'd be a win for me.
All right, awesome. Well, it's been a good episode with you. I think we done held these fans hostage enough. They're gonna get held hostage Monday at 8:30 anyway, so might as well let them go early so that they can get transported to their next jail.
Oh man.
Hey, so you got anything you want to plug, Cam?
Not at the moment, man. Just happy to be part of the pod, man.
All right, awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for your time, Cam. I really appreciate you joining us today. Looking forward to the next one. We will be doing a post-game reaction if Cam's available, and we want to do it that same day or maybe the next day. We'll go ahead, jump on, and get one on. Thank you so much for your time. If you enjoyed the content, please like and subscribe. Definitely want to hear some comments, hear some engagement. If you got any thoughts on the things that you want to add about the Falcons, about the Eagles, we would love to hear it. So thank you so much for your time. You have a good one. Peace.
Yes, sir.